Okay. It looks like this is working. Hopefully this is working.
Okay.
So it says we're live, and so now we're just waiting for everybody to sign on.
Okay.
Okay. All right, say something so we can test to see if this is actually working or not.
I'm eating a white peach right now.
Say it
Hello,
again.
it's me. Hello?
Say it again.
You're wearing your Carnage shirt.
Yes,
Oops.
you mean my Carnage shirt? Is that what you meant to say?
I said Carnage.
Oh, okay. You cut off there. All right. So we have a couple people online. So hey guys, what's going on? We are doing this in like a rather unorthodox way because Jill's in Chicago and I'm here where I normally am, and so we're just gonna have to sort of improvise here. And so I just kind of like jotted down some notes about tonight's episode, like things we should talk about. Um, so first of all, actually, this is like a thing that I noticed right at the end of the episode. I love the fact that the crazy lady in the closed captioning for DirecTV, it lists her as filthy woman.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna have to like go back and take a screenshot of that because that's just like so hilarious to me. That was a good episode. It wasn't like quite as action packed as I was hoping that it would be. I mean, I was hoping that like Dory would have his guns out and like, you know, saving the day and shit like that. He basically only like fired him once and it was a missed shot. So, but nonetheless, it was still a good episode. It was another like sort of just like slow, you know, character development episode. I think probably like the most important part of the whole episode was like Strand talking about the reason why he's drinking so much.
Obviously, he's trying to cope with a level of depression. So, drinking is good for that. And plus, it's not always readily available in the world that they're in. So,
Yeah, I mean, he specifically said it kind of like the thing that all of us were sort of thinking in the first place, which is that like he's drinking because he has nobody to drink with anymore, aka Madison, which is kind of sad. But I like that Dory, you know, kind of stepped up and was like, oh, you know, I'll be the guy who has the drink with you, but it's going to be on the other side of the pond after we get like, you know, done with the alligators and whatever. They're kind of like the odd couple in a way. Like Strand is like the one who's super pessimistic and just like is down on life and has nothing left to live for, and John is taking him out of that state of mind, which is kind of like what he's known for doing at this point. It seems like John Dory, he just has this knack for like pulling people back from the brink. Like anybody who's about to just like give up, he's the one who pulls them back.
but here's the question. Who makes the better bromance? John and Strand or John and Morgan?
Oof, man, that's a tough one. I still say John and Morgan just because, like, well, I don't know. Just because I guess I like Morgan better than Strand. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, they both have interesting relationships. I'm not sure which one I'm actually more of a fan of. What about you?
I think Morgan and John definitely make a better bromance and a better odd couple, but I really think that when Strand finally gets to meet, I can't think of her name, Mo Collins' character, the trucker lady.
Molly, whatever.
Her real name is Mo Collins, but the character's name, anyway, her from Mad TV. Oh, girl from Mad TV. I think that she and Strand will have a great dynamic. I feel like that would make a lot of sense and they get along really well.
Why those two specifically?
I don't know, it's just something about her personality that I feel would mesh really well with Strand's. Like, she's very, like, she obviously has heart and soul, this Strand, but they're both kind of semi out for themselves, not in a bad way, but just in a survival way. And they both have like kind of quirky personalities. It just seems to make sense to me. I really can't. I'm having a hard time verbalizing this, but I feel like they would be like the the two best of friends, and that she would be a great. I don't want to say replacement, but I feel like she'd be a great replacement for Madison in regards to Strand.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. So one thing that I noticed was that Wendell's wheelchair. So like in the very first scene, when like the beer guy, I forget what his name is, but he's like, "Oh, dude, like you got to stand up. Like there's a walker coming behind you, whatever." And Wendell's just like, "Nah, bro, I got this." And he just like hits this button and spikes like go out from behind him. I was like, "Oh, he's like a new Winslow." Like that totally reminded me of Winslow.
It reminded me of the Game of Thrones chair. Well, the throne, I guess.
I still haven't seen that show, guys.
Well, it's got swords coming out of it. It's made of swords.
Oh, okay. Yeah, everybody who's watching right now who is a fan of Game of Thrones probably hates me for not knowing what it was that Joel was talking about right then. Sorry. Oh well. Okay, so let's let's get into some not directly Fear the Walking Dead related stuff, just some stuff that happened in the commercials. So first of all, that's the first time that I've seen that particular promo where they explicitly said Rick Grimes' final episodes.
Yeah.
Did you know about that before this? Because I didn't.
I did. Actually, I saw one of our fandom peeps today posted about it, how it was affecting her mental health. I agree. It was very depressing to see those words on the screen. Now it's like. That being said, what was more interesting to me though is that they had Michonne was in front, not Rick. Rick was behind her. So like the lead person in that whole setup was her. So I know they had all this talk about Norman Reedus, but they were pushing her towards the front, not him, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I mean, normally, whoop, knocked the mic over. Sorry if I just made a bunch of noise. So normally in like the promo art, they will sort of like put all the characters in order of importance in terms of like how, where they are like standing among one another and whatever. Norman's not even like number 3 or 4. I think he's actually behind Carol, isn't he?
I can't really remember. I just know Rick and Michonne.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter. The point is that he's not in front. And so, I mean, they do change the cover art usually like halfway through the season. So I'm not sure if that necessarily means anything or not. I mean, it could just be like, irrelevant. It could just be that, they have like different cover art for this first half of the season to try and like get us all hyped up for, these first 8 episodes, and then they're going to completely change it, and then maybe Norman will be in the front. I don't know. It's really hard to tell. They've changed so many things in terms of like the marketing for the show this time around. We were actually, for everybody who's watching, me and Joel were talking about this the other day. If you go back and look at the logos for all of the seasons that have been released thus far, they have slowly but surely gotten more and more decrepit. Oh, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, Norman's in the back. He's actually lower in the totem pole than even Maggie. So I don't know what that means, but anyway. Anyway, the logo. So the logos have gotten more and more decrepit as the seasons have gone through. So like they get decayed, like cracks in the lettering, all that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, the logo gets released for this season, and it's not cracked around the edges anymore. Instead, there's like moss grown over it. And not only that, but the official social accounts of The Walking Dead, they updated their cover photo with this like just bizarre photo that I have no idea what to make of. It's like Rick in his new gear with the new shirt for season 9 with the short hair, but yet with like the sheriff's hat on. I don't understand what that's supposed to mean at all.
Oh, wait. We did a video about that.
Yeah, I mean, we go into like more detail in it in the video. It's going to be launched, but we can talk about it here.
I still think, I mean, I said this before, but I think it's still going to be, I think it's metaphorical more than literal. I don't think we're going to see Rick at all in season 9 wearing this hat unless it's a flashback. I mean, maybe it could be alluding to a flashback, but I think it's mostly pertaining to a metaphor with, you know, Rick retaining his whole sheriff position. Because now there's law and order and governance in this world. Well, more so than it was before.
I mean, I didn't really look at it that closely. It almost looked like they actually photoshopped the existing cover art and just like put the sheriff's hat on him, which I don't.
It's a bad Photoshop, but.
Yeah, I mean, again, they've done like so many different things with the marketing this time around. I don't really know like what to make of any of this at this point. It doesn't make any sense to me that he would actually have the sheriff hat on. I mean, like, what the. You know, the last time that we saw the hat, it was on Carl, and like the badge wasn't even on it. Like, what did he just like have the badge like hanging around for a rainy day and just like takes it out and puts it on? That doesn't really make any sense. But yet again, they've never portrayed any of the characters in the cover art like that in a way where they don't appear that way in the show, if that makes sense. So, I mean. At this point, I just feel like they're doing so many things to just like try and misdirect us and confuse us. So we have no idea what's going on whatsoever.
Actually, going back to Fear real quick, you know, the shots for next week look very reminiscent to me to some of the early shots of Atlanta in seasons 1 through 3. So I think in terms of like, you know, Easter eggs and callbacks and whatever you want to talk about, or whatever you want to call it, rather, however you want to label it. I think they're getting closer to connecting these two worlds even more so than before. I don't know where this particular group of characters is going to end up by the end of the season, and what that will mean, or how it will relate to The Walking Dead.
So when you say connect the two worlds, are you implying in some way that you think that they might actually merge the shows? Because that's a popular fan theory that's been like floating around all over the internet for quite a while now. I'm not sure I'm on board with that. My mom is totally on board with that, and I still don't really see it. But I don't know. I agree with you that they are dropping hints that could make sense in like the near future. So I'm not really sure. Maybe they are going to do that. I don't know.
I mean, I think, I mean, who knows what's going to happen after season 9? I don't think they're going to merge them, you know, this season. But I think in regards to 2019, I definitely think that there might be a convergence of the two shows. Well, not necessarily, but maybe back-to-back would be more accurate because, I mean, especially after Rick departs, however that will happen. They're going to need something else to prop up the original show as well. And I think that when you have two shows playing back-to-back, it plays a little bit better when they're in the same universe. At least in regards to shows that we've seen on, like, you know, the CW and NBC. I think this would go really well for AMC as well. And frankly, they're going to need something.
Yeah. That actually brings up another question. So, oh geez, you know, like this whole Rick Grimes thing, it's gone through like 3 stages. First, it was a rumor that was unconfirmed. Then it was unconfirmed. It was confirmed by, you know, not only Comic-Con, but AMC and also Andrew Lincoln himself. Now, this is like a new step that we've never seen before where like they actually incorporate the confirmation of a character leaving into the marketing, like in the promo shots. I don't know exactly what that's supposed to mean. I mean, now that kind of makes it impossible to predict whether or not it's going to be like ambiguous whether or not he dies or not, or if he just disappears and he comes back later on. This is like uncharted territory. It's basically impossible to figure out.
I mean, when they say final episodes, I kind of don't believe that, because I do think that Rick will come back eventually, even if it's for like, you know, one episode or the last few episodes of the last season. Who knows?
We all hope so.
But I mean, obviously, since the cat's out of the bag, it's like, oh, by the way, don't forget to miss this season, because I mean, we live in the age of spoilers and whatnot, and they let out the biggest spoiler, which was dumb. But I think they're saying that to say, like, if you don't watch it as it's airing, you're going to really miss out, and having other people spoil it for you, as opposed to seeing it yourself. And I guess they want as much viewership as humanly possible, as opposed to people utilizing their DVR or waiting for Netflix. It's like, you don't want to miss this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that this is, I don't know, there's a part of me that's kind of worried that this is like another misdirect, sort of like the Glenn dumpster death scenario, right? Like, I hope it's not something like that, because that really pissed off the fans. I hope they don't do something like that.
They were pissed off when Glenn wasn't dead, and then they got pissed off when he was dead for real. Like, which one is it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't please everybody. Actually, probably can't please anybody at this point with the show. But a lot of people felt like they were like manipulated with that death. I hope that it's not something like that, where we're, you know, all just sort of like, after we see him again, if he's not actually dead, we're just like, oh god, that was like a cheap gimmick to get more viewers. I hope it's not something like that. I don't know how they're going to do it in a way that makes sense. Where,
wait a minute, would you really be upset if it was a fake out and Rick wasn't leaving? Would you really be upset about that?
Well, I'd certainly be less upset than like knowing that he's dead for sure. I mean, absolutely. I would basically accept any scenario at this point that results in Rick Grimes not being dead for sure. Even if it's dumb, even if it doesn't make any sense, just because it would be so unsatisfying for anybody who's been a fan of the show since day one to like imagine the world without that character.
Yeah. I mean, if Rick gets like fake shot or not fatally stabbed or something, and then it's like, oh, he's gonna die, and it's like, wait, haha, we were just playing around, he's not dead at all, I would be like, oh, that's fantastic. I would not be upset in the least. I would laugh and rejoice. And I'm sure a lot of people would be, you know, like, oh, you guys are playing games, blah, blah, shut up. I would be really thrilled for sticking around.
Yeah, me too. What's that? Oh. Well, no, she's saying she would be thrilled if Rick was still around. That's what she just said. Yeah, I know. That's kind of what I was like alluding to earlier, is like the manipulation aspect. I feel like they've sort of exhausted to some degree the, I don't know, tactics, I guess is the word, to use in terms of misdirecting the audience. Everything that's happened in the last 6 months is like totally uncharted territory. I feel like all the stuff that's happened in terms of like character deaths and character departures, or entrances for that matter, onto the show has been pretty easily confirmable or deniable in the past. I mean, there's usually like a pattern that goes on in terms of that sort of thing. This is totally brand new. Everything is new. Everything that they're doing in terms of what's going to happen with Rick is totally new. The logo redesign, the weird cover art, the weird announcement of it. I mean, everything since day one of this whole thing has been so bizarre and just like unorthodox in terms of how they usually, you know, let people know about the departure of a character. Frankly, they've done a great job in terms of making it completely impossible to predict. I'm assuming if that's what they were trying to do when they did all these things, and if that was what they were trying to do, then kudos to them, because I have no idea what the fuck's gonna happen, honestly. At this point, it's my guess is as good as anybody's.
Oh, and I mean, we'll see. I'm wondering if he's going to make it through the whole season, or if he's literally just in 9A, which, will be a huge crossroads for the audience. I know there's people who stick with it, but there's also people who won't. And just curious, how people feel about that.
That's another thing that I have a feeling that we're never going to get like a satisfying answer to this, but I am so curious as to why they did it that way. I mean, like, probably most of the people that are on the live stream right now, you guys like the show and have been following it forever. You're probably a member of like several spoiler groups. I'm not going to say any names, but everybody knows the rumors. Basically, the rumors that Rick is not going to be in the show past episode 6 of season 9. And assuming that's true, I just don't understand why they would do something like that. I mean, why would Andrew Lincoln even agree to do only 6 episodes but not do the whole season? And B, why would AMC want him to do that? I mean, just it doesn't make any sense at all.
I mean, well, think about. I don't know the exact specific circumstances to which Andy is leaving, and none of us ever will. But think about Frank Delane. He actually asked to be cut out the season before, and they were able to stretch out his appearance through most of the first half of this season of Fear before they killed his character. So, I mean, I guess, maybe that's as far as Andy was willing to go, or that's as much time was allotted. I don't know what the contract dictated. Like, it's a lot of different variables.
I mean, I guess that's plausible, but it's still hard for me to, like, believe that just because of the fact that, like, the guy's been doing this for 10 years. It's like, if you've done this for 10 years, you couldn't do it for just, like, 4 or 5 more months, Especially with the level of, like, love that he has for the fans. That just doesn't make any sense to me. To me, it seems like if you're going to go that level of distance, you would at least want to, like, finish the season out strong. 6 episodes, that just seems so... I just don't get... Because the thing is, at the end of season 8, there's, like, no indication whatsoever that Rick's character is going to leave. Like, it seems like he won. He won the war, and he's in charge, and, he's, like, taunting Negan in the hospital bed and all that stuff. It's like, how do you go from that, Mr. like macho in charge, I won the whole battle, to gone from the show in 6 episodes? I just don't. I mean, again, like, I hope that Angela Kang. I know that Angela Kang is a genius because she's written like some of my favorite episodes of the whole show, but it's very difficult for me to imagine how they're going to do that in a way that's going to make any sense. That's my concern about this season.
I mean, I too trust Angela. I don't know that anyone could give a satisfying ending to Rick Grimes before the show is actually over. Like, if we were discussing the last season of the show and Rick's exit, that'd be one thing. This is a whole other ball of wax, and I think it will be tough for anyone to, do this in a satisfactory way. I think Angela's the best candidate right now that we can have, outside of, say, like Frank Darabont, who started the character on this journey. And I mean, that's no disrespect to anyone. I'm just saying, monologues and character development and getting in depth into things, that's kind of where the show's roots are, especially in season 2 when they were forced into that shoestring budget. So, I don't know. I mean, we'll see where it goes.
Okay, let's take a look at some comments here. Kiana says, I want to feel excited about The Walking Dead coming back because I've loved it for 8 years, but knowing Rick is leaving and Roshon is going to end is hard to take. Okay, so that brings up some interesting questions. What happens to Michonne if Rick leaves? How does her character go on without Rick? And like, is she gonna leave too? I mean, it seems like that's another, going back to my previous point, it's like it just seems impossible that a character like Michonne is going to be able to like exist in a satisfactory way in this world after losing not only Rick but also Carl.
That's what, you know what? In no disrespect to the Gwen and Maggie fans, but let me tell you something. A Roshon baby is leagues more important than any other baby on that show, Judith included. I swear to God, if they're gonna kill Rick Grimes,
I agree.
The show better be pregnant and she better carry it to term. I swear to God. I'm gonna have a problem.
Yeah, and it better not take like 3 fucking years for that baby to get born the way the Maggie's baby did. Come on, seriously, yeah. Like, we see that baby bump like at the end of season 6, and then all of a sudden, like in season 8, it's finally born, or whatever. Or, I'm sorry, the beginning of season 9. 3 years, dude, come on, that's like way too long.
Well, first, if it's a Roshon baby, I'll wait. Let's just make sure that it's in existence, because if it's not, it's going to be a problem. Like, there has to be someone to carry on officially the Grimes, bloodline and take up the throne, and it would be even better if that kid is, Michonne's as well. So that would, be at least somewhat acceptable in my brain. And I know, Judith, blah, blah, blah. I just want my Roshon baby, okay? I don't feel like I am alone.
Well, first of all, we know that Judith doesn't matter because Rick knows that it's actually Shane's.
Ooh. I just feel bad because I'm not trying. I'm just going to stay within the context of the show. The throne should have gone to Carl. Carl is dead. There needs to be another official Grimes child. Not Lori's baby. It needs to be another Grimes child. So,
yeah.
And Michonne and Rick baby would be amazing. And also, Michonne's lost, at last count, 2 sons. Let's give her a third one that doesn't die. And we see him in with Rick's Ivan. He ends the show. Oh, yeah.
What do you guys think about this? Everybody that's watching. I mean, I think that, I guess the only reason why I do have some level of faith in them actually pulling this off is because I thought it was going to be completely impossible for them to pull off the Morgan crossover and make Fear the Walking Dead a good show. And they did that. And not only made it a good show, they made it a great show, an excellent show, in fact. I feel like if they could do that, they could do potentially The Walking Dead without Rick. But man, I'm still going to be very skeptical about it going into it. I mean, I can't imagine watching The Walking Dead knowing for sure that I'm not going to see Rick Grimes ever again. I don't know if I'd be actually motivated enough to like watch it and tune in every week. I mean, especially if like the rumors are true and Norman Reedus is actually going to take over the show, and please don't get mad at me, folks, but even if Michonne was the main character, I don't know that I would be able to tune in every week and actually want to watch the show as much as I do now. The show started with Rick.
If we see Michonne having to raise, 2 kids on her own, Judith and her new baby, Rick's baby, and we juxtapose that with Carol's story, who I think is another fascinating character, I think I could, keep going for a couple more seasons. The last time a major character, if not technically the lead, left the show was Law and Order SVU, and it deteriorated so quickly. And I don't know. I still watch it, and I don't know why. Like, I get disappointed like almost every time.
Yeah.
I was like, God, just put this show down already.
Yeah.
And it's no disrespect to Mariska. She's a marvelous actor, but, like, it's missing something. It's missing him. And there's no way that no matter how great that they make the show, no matter how much they reboot it or who they put in Rick's place, he is, bottom line, irreplaceable. But if they give us Michonne Jr. and we get to see that storyline progress with Michonne as the single mom, I think we could struggle along a couple more seasons with that.
SVU is not the only example of this. I mean, like, I think I brought this up once before in a different video, but, like, anybody watch The X-Files? Come on. The second that David Duchovny left The X-Files and they tried to bring the fucking T-1000 in to replace him, I don't even know the name of that actor. It was just downhill from there. I think the show was off the air within, like, 2 years or something like that. It doesn't work. When you have a show that's been on for like 6, 7, 8 years, all of a sudden trying to, like, convert the fans, you know, sentiments about a main character to a different new main character, it just never works. I mean, I can't think of one example where that's actually worked.
Just Fear the Walking Dead.
Maybe that is the only example.
That's the only example.
But to be fair though, none of the characters on Fear the Walking Dead were all that likable. So I don't feel like it was hard for people to part with them versus, like, I mean, come on, Agent Mulder on The X-Files, like, that was a way harder character to part with than, like, Madison on Fear the Walking Dead. I don't feel like you can really, like, compare those two. And
I didn't actually really watch that show, to be fair, but so in Smallville, Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor, left after a while. When he left, I left, and he wasn't even the main character of the show. But he was my reason to watch. And it's like, oh, he's gone? Sorry, Clark Kent's boring. I don't care. And I just want to say that there are several comments right now who also want to Rochelle Baby, including a vote for twins. Thanks, Jamila, for that. I would not be upset about twins either.
Thank you, Veronica. Robert Patrick, the T-1000. I don't know why I can never remember that guy's name. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation with the show and this fandom right now. Everybody's, like, very off kilter. It's been weird for, like, the last, like, I would say a year, maybe even 2 years. And my dog is making a bunch of noise, so I'm sorry, everybody, if you hear that in the microphone. What was I saying? Yeah, that was Ace. He's, you know what? I'm just gonna, here. Say hi, Ace.
Hi, Ace. Hello, friend. What's he doing?
He was staring at the camera for a while, and now he's just confused. Anyway. What else is there to talk about? You said that you were looking at some comments.
Oh yeah, someone voted for Jamila voted for Rochelle twins. I hadn't actually thought about that, but I would not be upset about that either. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing though is that even if there's a Rochelle baby, it's like, great. I mean, the Grimes bloodline lives on, but, like, it's gonna be that's not a character. Like, it's a baby. There's not gonna be any dialogue. I mean,
no. It's you know, it doesn't matter. Like, this is different than, you know, the Maggie baby and Judith, because we would actually care about this baby because it's Rick's baby and Carl is gone. So it doesn't matter if the baby can't talk now. We now know that there's another character, a younger character, that the show can end on that we won't be like, about. But Judith can keep Carl's head. Okay, great, fine. But I'd love to see this Rochelle Jr. kid with Rick's python and their mom's sword. I'd be cool with that. Give that kid the weapons. Judith can take the hat. I'm so awful.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't see how they're going to make this work, but it's certainly going to be interesting to watch it, whether or not it's good or it might just be like a massive train wreck. It's kind of hard to tell, and it's hard to predict. We're just gonna have to watch and see, and just.
My fear is that I don't want to get into a place where like I'm just watching it to be watching it, and then we're talking about it, and then all I'm doing is hating on it. I don't want to become that person.
Yeah.
Like I like to hate on things in private. I don't want to do it in front of you guys. I don't think anybody would be amused by that. So
I agree.
That's my fear.
I agree. My mom just made a good comment. She said it would be mourning. We'd be mourning the death of the show.
Yeah. I don't want to be in constant mourning and then just hating on what's left of the show and being like just all, just all negative and stuff, and other people are attempting to enjoy it. I don't want to be that person.
Neither do I. Anything else that you want to discuss on this live stream? Otherwise, I think we should wrap it up.
Oh, I was having such a good time.
We've already gone over the 30-minute mark. We're actually at 35 minutes now.
I thought we were going a full hour. Okay, I'm so confused. I don't know what's happening. No, in terms of anything I want to add, just that I'm looking forward to next week's episode and how this filthy lady thing will be resolved.
The filthy woman.
And yeah, the filthy woman. Excuse me. And I want to get a closer look at these exterior shots because it's making me think of season 1 of The Walking Dead. It's making me think of Atlanta. So I want to get a closer look to see where they're filming and what those shots look like. So. Oh, and also if anyone has any info, like I'm curious, anybody get tickets to the premiere? Anybody have 38,000 rewards points to get tickets? Just curious.
Yeah, this supposed premiere that we just found out about like yesterday that apparently was not announced or anything like that. I don't know. Let us know if anybody knows about it. Send us the info. I didn't hear about it at all. I don't think Jill, you didn't either, did you?
No, Karen told me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
We gotta iron out our work with Stalker stuff too.
Supposedly, there's some kind of like secret premiere going on in LA, like a week before the actual premiere of the season premiere episode, which makes zero sense to me whatsoever. But that's word on the street. So, given how bizarre everything else has been this last year in terms of the marketing, the launching, and the rolling out of everything, I'm basically down to believe it just because everything's so weird. If anybody knows anything about it, let us know. Because I don't know anything. And I think it's very strange they did not put it as an announcement on Talking Dead the way they did like the last 3 years. So anyway, I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will be back next week for another live discussion after the episode of Fear the Walking Dead. Thanks again, guys. Bye.